Intentional and deliberate is something we talk about all the time in regards to who you want to be and how you're going to get there. Is it intentional and deliberate, or is it unconscious and accidental? The question, the reason I bring that up is, Jamie and I were talking about this just the other day. The question is, what is the hard that you want to choose? And that's what we're going to talk about today on My Streaks. Let's start streaking. What is streaking and why should you do it?
Streaking is how you set up personal winning streaks. Look at who you want to be and what you need to do to become that person. This is streaking.
I'm Jeff.
And I'm Jamie.
And we are streakers. Through 30 years of marriage and 7 children, we have learned the power of consecutive consistency or streaking.
To start streaking is simple. You just follow these 3 laws. Make it laughably simple, keep a record, and join the streaking community.
Streaking is your hidden superpower. With it, you will consistently progress and grow in whatever area of life you want.
In this podcast, Jeff and I will share all the fun, exciting, serious, solemn, wonderful parts of family, spiritual, professional, and personal life, and how streaking powers it all.
So join us in the conversation, join the movement, and start streaking today. So Jamie and I, we are out on our regular walk run, which, by the way, that streak particularly is the OG streak, the one that started it all. And as you look at that particular streak of walk or run at least 1 mile every day, 6 days a week, we are currently at, hold on, wait for it. It is 489 weeks old. So that means for 489 weeks in a row, we've walked or run at least 1 mile every single day. To translate that into the number of years that that's happened, let's just take a look here. Again, that is 489 weeks old. So let's divide that by 52. 489 divided by 52 equals almost 9.5 years that we've been at that. So coming up on a decade that we've been running or walking at least 1 mile every single day for, the 6 days a week, except for Sundays. And that has brought a lot of conversation. In fact, one of the things that we talk about quite often on these walk runs is that had we not been in Georgia when we were doing these, because we're at a higher altitude now, Georgia's a lower altitude, it would have been a little bit more difficult to come up with many of the different things that we've learned in regards to setting up a successful streak and how it can change your life, because we were able to talk about those things. The reason I bring that up is the discussion that I want to have with you right now is one that she and I were talking about just the other day. And it was the whole idea of choosing your hard. Now, what do we mean by that? Well, the conversation came about because we were talking about how hard it is in the physical realm. So this is specifically around physical, but we'll also apply it to mental and emotional and other areas of life too. How hard it is to get to exercise every day, and how hard it is to, if you want to lose weight or gain muscle mass or cut body fat, how difficult it is to get yourself to do the diet, the plan, the meal plan that you need to do in order to make that happen. And so we are talking about both sides of this, the exercise being hard and also the meal plan being hard. And then you talk about the other side of it where doing nothing as far as exercising is concerned and meal planning, not really doing that at all. Where's the hard that comes in there? Because if I become sedentary, not active, that becomes hard through time as well. However, it's not hard right away. It is something that it takes time in order to see the negative consequences that come from having a sedentary life. The body was meant to move. I think that God created us in a way that we're meant to move, to be active, to be doing that which will help us continue to grow and progress, not only physically, but also emotionally, mentally, socially, and all those other areas. So the question then becomes, what is the hard that I want to choose? Now, the conversation went further into this. For example, Jamie and I were talking about, if I don't want to change the meal the way that I eat currently. In other words, let's say it's good enough. It has all the basic elements. There's things in it that are positive and probably some things that I can modify a little bit. But let's say I don't want to change my meal plan or meal planning at all. I don't want to be more rigid with it. I just want to let it be where it is. Then am I willing to, if I have, for example, a goal to lose a little bit of weight or to gain some muscle, am I willing then to increase the amount of activity that I do in a day? Am I willing to increase the weights that I lift or the running that I do, the distance that I go? Am I willing to do that? Both are hard. You can look on one side or the other. Both are hard. What I love about this particular, and I loved about in this particular conversation, is that we get to choose. If you're intentional and deliberate with what it is you want to do in life, then you choose your hard. It's not chosen for you. Many times, as I look back in my life, I look at the difficulties that I may have gone through, and many of them were not of my choosing. They were things that were basically unconscious, or let's put it this way, it was of my choosing. Everything's of my choosing. But it was unconsciously done. It wasn't deliberate and intentional choice. It was an unconscious and accidental choice. It was something that I looked at probably without any type of seriousness and just went with whatever the flow was. So that's the other question that I have as well is, what do you want to choose? Or do you want your hard chosen for you? Or do you want to choose your hard? That's one. And secondly, is it something that you are willing to look at and say, you know what, it'll be hard down the road? In other words, you put off the hard, and therefore down the road, be it because of inactivity, you have more medical issues than what you thought you would. There is different consequences that you're suffering because you decided to put off the hard. I'm going to wait for it down the road. And in fact, that's one of the things to look at as well as procrastination. How many of us procrastinate because right now it's either I'm tired or I'm busy, in the sense that I've got a lot of different priorities in my life and I'm working with all of them all at the same time. And therefore, I need to put off my hard. I'm going to wait for that down the road. No matter what, hard will come, whether you choose it or not. Therefore, what I advocate and would invite everyone to do is to be deliberate and intentional and choose your own hard. Decide now what it is you want to do to become the person who you want to be. The small steps along the way are what will get you there. And you know this. I mean, we talk about this all the time in streaking. In fact, I got this particular text message from one of our streakers out there who shot me a quote from C.S. Lewis. And let me just see if I can pull this up really quickly here, because this was such a great quote and encapsulated exactly what it was that we're looking for. Of course, I'm not finding it right away, but let me see if I can put her name in here and see what we come up with. Okay, here it is. See if I can download this particular image, because this is really what is in streaking altogether, this quote from C.S. Lewis. And of course, it's not coming up I have it on my computer, and now I need to look on my phone, because I think that's where it's going to come up, is on the phone. For whatever reason, it's not coordinating with my computer like it should. I apologize. All right, we're getting there. Here we go. Let's see what we've got. Not coming up there either. I don't know why. Okay. So it's a quote from C.S. Lewis that is a good one. And let me see if I can find it just by a C.S. Lewis on small things. Let's just take a look and say, this is a quote by C.S. Lewis. Yeah, you will say, okay, I'm going to go for this. I don't know if this is the one or not. I think it is. This is the one. You will say that these are very small sins. So he's talking about sins and going for it. And doubtless, like all young tempters, you are anxious to be able to, this sounds like from the Screw Tape Letters is what this looks like. I'm not sure, but you are anxious to be able to report, okay, like all young tempters, you are anxious to be able to report spectacular wickedness. But do remember, the only thing that matters is the extent to which you separate the man from the enemy. It does not matter how small the sins are, provided that their cumulative effect is to edge the man away from the light and out into the nothing. Murder is no better than cards if cards can do the trick. Indeed, the safest road to hell is the gradual one, the gentle slope, soft underfoot, without sudden turnings, without milestones, without signposts. Okay, so I don't know if that's the exact quote, but let me put it to you this way. That same thing that as we look at C.S. Lewis saying that, someone pulling you away from the light, similarly, we can go toward the light with that same attitude and doing it deliberately. When we aren't deliberate or intentional, when we aren't deciding what direction we want to go, then we will be going backward. Think, for example, your life as a river. When you are in the river, it is flowing in a certain direction. Now, you can move within the river to stay in the place that's going to get you safely to your destination. You control what rapids you want to shoot. There's going to be those rapids that are out there. You control which ones you want to shoot deliberately and intentionally, unless your oar is not in the water. If your oars are not in the water and you're just deciding to let the river take you where it decides to go, there's going to be hard at some particular point. You can choose to paddle hard in the sections of the river that put you in the place that's going to deliver you the safest path. Or you can choose not to put your paddle in at all and let the river take you where it's going to go. And eventually something will happen to the boat you're in and the hard will come. So you can paddle hard, or you can suffer the consequences of a difficult turnover or stuck in an eddy or any number of things that the river will take you. But the river is flowing no matter what. The course that you decide to take in that river is up to you. That's what C.S. Lewis was mentioning here. The best way to go away from light, to go away from who you want to be, is to not consciously make a choice, to ignore the signposts if there are any, or to go in a way that I'm just going to do wherever life takes me. It's not the way it works. Yeah, well, let me put it to you this way. It works. Life is going to take you no matter what. So whether you want to do it deliberately or not is completely up to you. That's what I think that I want to communicate with this. So as you go forward, and as you think about the direction that you want to travel, the question to ask is, what hard do you want to choose? Well, thanks for listening in. I hope that this message of what hard you want to choose is helpful. If you have any other thoughts or ideas, I'd love to hear from you. Shoot me a note over at Jeffrey, Jeffrey, at mystreaksapp.com. If you want to learn more about streaking, you can get the book Streaking at Amazon, Barnes & Noble, or anywhere books are sold. You can also download the My Streaks app, where we have tens of thousands of users every day logging their streaks and showing what it is they do to become who they want to be. Until we talk again, I hope you have a fantastic, marvelous day. And as always, keep streaking.